Before we begin, if you're finding peace through these sessions, we'd love for you to take a moment, when you're awake, of course, to leave a review and subscribe on whatever channel you're listening on. Your support helps others discover this space and join our journey to restful sleep. Welcome to Slothful Slumber, the podcast where we transform the vast knowledge of the internet into a gentle lullaby for your mind. I'm your host, Luna Dreamwell, and I'm here to guide you on a journey to tranquility through the soothing cadence of Wikipedia articles. Each episode will delve into the most wonderfully mundane and sleep-inducing topics, helping you drift off into a realm of serene dreams. So find your comfortable space, close your eyes, and let the dull hum of information carry you into a restful slumber. This Wikipedia article is titled Bronze. Bronze is an alloy consisting primarily of copper, commonly with about 12 to 12.5% tin, and often with the addition of other metals, including aluminium, manganese, nickel, or zinc, and sometimes non-metals, such as phosphorus, or metalloids, such as arsenic or silicon. These additions produce a range of alloys, some of which are harder than copper alone, or have other useful properties, such as strength, ductility, or machinability. The archaeological period during which bronze was the hardest metal in widespread use is known as the Bronze Age. The beginning of the Bronze Age in Western Eurasia is conventionally dated to the mid-4th millennium BCE, approximately 3,500 BCE, and to the early 2nd millennium BCE in China. Elsewhere, it gradually spread across regions. The Bronze Age was followed by the Iron Age, which started about 1300 BCE and reached most of Eurasia by about 500 BCE, although bronze continued to be much more widely used than it is in modern times. Because historical artworks were often made of bronzes and brasses, alloys of copper and zinc, of different metallic compositions, modern museum and scholarly descriptions of older artworks increasingly use the generalized term copper alloy instead of the name of individual alloys. This is done, at least in part, to prevent database searches from failing merely because of errors or disagreements in the naming of historic copper alloys. Etymology. The word bronze, 1730 to 1740, is borrowed from Middle French bronze, 1511, itself borrowed from Italian bronzo, bell metal, brass. 13th century, transcribed in medieval Latin as bronzium, from either brontion, back formation from Byzantine Greek brontesion, 11th century, perhaps from brentesion, Brindisi, reputed for its bronze, or originally, in its earliest form from Old Persian birinj, brass, modern birenj, and piring copper, from which also came Georgian brinzi, Turkish pirinç, from bir, one, birinç, primary, and Armenian brinj, also meaning bronze. A Dictionary of the English Language, 1746, offers, a composition of copper and tin makes bell metal, and copper and brass. Melted in equal quantities, produces what the French call bronze, used for figures and statues. Webster's Dictionary, 1828, offers. Tin, united with copper in different proportions, forms bronze, bell metal, and speculum metal. Chambers Dictionary, 1872, offers bronze, an alloy of copper and tin, of a brown or burned color. History. The discovery of bronze enabled people to create metal objects that were harder and more durable than had previously been possible. Bronze tools, weapons, armor, and building materials such as decorative tiles were harder and more durable than their stone and copper chalcolithic predecessors. The earliest tin-copper alloy artifact has been dated to circa 4650 BCE in a Vinca culture site in Plochnik, Serbia, and believed to have been smelted from a natural tin-copper ore, stannite. Other early examples date to the late 4th millennium BCE in Egypt, Susa, Iran, and some ancient sites in China, Luristan, Iran, Tepe Sialk, Iran, Mundagak, Afghanistan, and Mesopotamia, Iraq. Copper arsenic alloys from naturally or artificially mixed ores of those metals, forming arsenical copper, were found to result in a metal of a silver hue with similarly increased strength, a lower melting point, and simpler to work than copper. The earliest known arsenic copper alloy artifacts come from Ayahya culture, 3800 to 3400 BCE site at Tal-e-Iblis on the Iranian plateau, and were smelted from native arsenical copper and copper arsenides such as algodonite and domikite. Tin bronze was superior to arsenic copper in that the alloying process could be more easily controlled, and the resulting alloy was stronger and easier to cast. Also, unlike those of arsenic, metallic tin and the fumes from tin refining are not toxic. Tin became the major non-copper ingredient of bronze in the late 3rd millennium BCE. Auras of copper and the far rarer tin are not often found together. Exceptions include Cornwall in the United Kingdom, one ancient site in Thailand, and one in Iran. So serious bronze work has always involved trade with other regions. Tin sources and trade in ancient times had a major influence on the development of cultures. In Europe, a major source of tin was the British deposits of ore in Cornwall, which were traded as far as Phoenicia in the eastern Mediterranean. In many parts of the world, large hoards of bronze artifacts are found, suggesting that bronze also represented a store of value and an indicator of social status. In Europe, large hoards of bronze tools, typically socketed axes, are found, which mostly show no signs of wear, with Chinese ritual bronzes, which are documented in the inscriptions they carry, and from other sources, the case is clear. These were made in enormous quantities for elite burials, and also used by the living for ritual offerings. An analysis of 324 metallic finds of the Indus Valley Civilization, 2600 to 1900 BCE, in the 1990s found 20% to have some tin content to be considered bronze artifacts, with 8% of the artifacts having a tin content in excess of 10%, permitting casting. The source of the tin is unknown, but has been speculated to be from Bokhara or Samarkand in Uzbekistan. Transition to iron. Though bronze, whose Vickers hardness is 60 to 258, is generally harder than wrought iron, with a hardness of 30 to 80. The Bronze Age gave way to the Iron Age after a serious disruption of the tin trade. The population migrations of around 1200 to 1100 BCE reduced the shipment of tin around the Mediterranean and from Britain, limiting supplies and raising prices. As the art of working in iron improved, iron became cheaper and improved in quality. As later cultures advanced from hand-wrought iron to machine-forged iron, typically made with trip hammers powered by water, blacksmiths also learned how to make steel, which is stronger and harder than bronze and holds a sharper edge longer. Bronze was still used during the Iron Age and has continued in use for many purposes to the modern day. Composition. There are many different bronze alloys, but typically modern bronze is about 88% copper and 12% tin. Alpha bronze consists of the alpha solid solution of tin in copper. Alpha bronze alloys of 4 to 5% tin are used to make coins, springs, turbines, and blades. Historical bronzes are highly variable in composition, as most metalworkers probably used whatever scrap was on hand. The metal of the 12th century English Gloucester candlestick is bronze, containing a mixture of copper, zinc, tin, lead, nickel, iron, antimony, arsenic, and an unusually large amount of silver, between 22.5% in the base and 5.76% in the pan below the candle. The proportions of this mixture suggest that the candlestick was made from a hoard of old coins. The 13th century Benin bronzes are in fact brass, and the 12th century Romanesque Baptiste Montfort at St. Bartholomew's Church, Liège, is sometimes described as bronze and sometimes as brass. During the Bronze Age, two forms of bronze were commonly used. Classic bronze, about 10% tin, was used in casting. Mild bronze, about 6% tin, was hammered from ingots to make sheets. Bladed weapons were primarily cast from classic bronze, while helmets and armor were hammered from mild bronze. Modern commercial bronze, 90% copper and 10% zinc, and architectural bronze, 57% copper, 3% lead, 40% zinc, are more properly regarded as brass alloys because they contain zinc as the main alloying ingredient. They are commonly used in architectural applications. Plastic bronze contains a significant quantity of lead, which makes for improved plasticity, and may have been used by the ancient Greeks in ship construction. Silicon bronze has a composition of silicon, 2.8 to 3.8%, manganese, 0.5 to 1.3%, iron, 0.8% maximum, zinc, 1.5% maximum, lead, 0.05% maximum, with copper constituting the rest. Other bronze alloys include aluminium bronze, phosphor bronze, manganese bronze, bell metal, arsenical bronze, speculum metal, bismuth bronze, and symbol alloys. Properties. Copper-based alloys have lower melting points than steel or iron and are more readily produced from their constituent metals. They are generally about 10% denser than steel, although alloys using aluminium or silicon may be slightly less dense. Bronze conducts heat and electricity better than most steels. Copper-based alloys are generally more costly than steels, but less so than nickel-based alloys. Bronzes are typically ductile alloys and are considerably less brittle than cast iron. Copper and its alloys have a huge variety of uses that reflect their versatile physical, mechanical, and chemical properties. Some common examples are the high electrical conductivity of pure copper, the low friction properties of bearing bronze, bronze that has a high lead content 6 to 8%, the resonant qualities of bell bronze, 20% tin, 80% copper, and the resistance to corrosion by seawater of several bronze alloys. The melting point of bronze is about 950 degrees Celsius, 1,742 degrees Fahrenheit, but varies depending on the ratio of the alloy components. Bronze is usually non-magnetic, but certain alloys containing iron or nickel may have magnetic properties. Bronze typically oxidizes only superficially. Once a copper oxide, eventually becoming copper carbonate, layer is formed, the underlying metal is protected from further corrosion. This can be seen on statues from the Hellenistic period. If copper chlorides are formed, a corrosion mode called bronze disease will eventually destroy it completely. Uses: bronze or bronze-like alloys and mixtures were used for coins over a longer period. Bronze was especially suitable for use in boat and ship fittings prior to the wide employment of stainless steel, owing to its combination of toughness and resistance to saltwater corrosion. Bronze is still commonly used in ship propellers and submerged bearings. In the 20th century, silicon was introduced as the primary alloying element, creating an alloy with wide application in industry and the major form used in contemporary statuary. Sculptors may prefer silicon bronze because of the ready availability of silicon bronze brazing rod, which allows color-matched repair of defects in castings. Aluminium is also used for the structural metal aluminium bronze. Bronze parts are tough and typically used for bearings, clips, electrical connectors, and springs. Bronze also has low friction against dissimilar metals, making it important for cannons prior to modern tolerancing, where iron cannonballs would otherwise stick in the barrel. It is still widely used today for springs, bearings, bushings, automobile transmission pilot bearings, and similar fittings, and is particularly common in the bearings of small electric motors. Phosphor bronze is particularly suited to precision-grade bearings and springs. It is also used in guitar and piano strings. Unlike steel, bronze struck against a hard surface will not generate sparks, so it, along with beryllium copper, is used to make hammers, mallets, wrenches, and other durable tools to be used in explosive atmospheres or in the presence of flammable vapors. Bronze is used to make bronze wool for woodworking applications. where steel wool would discolor oak. Phosphor bronze is used for ships, propellers, musical instruments, and electrical contacts. Bearings are often made of bronze for its friction properties. It can be impregnated with oil to make the proprietary oilite and similar material for bearings. Aluminium bronze is hard and wear resistant and is used for bearings and machine toolways. The Doyler Die Casting Company of Toledo, Ohio, were known for the production of brastil, a high-tensile corrosion-resistant bronze alloy. Architectural bronze. The Seagram Building on New York City's Park Avenue is the iconic glass box sheathed in bronze, designed by Mies van der Rohe. The Seagram Building was the first time that an entire building was sheathed in bronze. The General Bronze Corporation fabricated 3,200,000 pounds, 1,600 tons, of bronze at its plant in Garden City, New York. The Seagram Building is a 38-story, 516-foot, 157 meters, bronze and topaz tinted glass building. The building looks like a squarish, 38-story tower clad in a restrained curtain wall of metal and glass. Bronze was selected because of its color, both before and after aging, its corrosion resistance, and its extrusion properties. In 1958, it was not only the most expensive building of its time, $36 million, but it was the first building in the world with floor-to-ceiling glass walls. Mies van der Rohe achieved the crisp edges that were custom-made with specific detailing by General Bronze, and even the screws that hold inches, the fixed glass plate windows, were made of brass. Sculptures. Bronze is widely used for casting bronze sculptures. Common bronze alloys have the unusual and desirable property of expanding slightly just before they set, thus filling the finest details of a mold. Then, as the bronze cools, it shrinks a little, making it easier to separate from the mold. The Assyrian king Sennacherib, born 704, died 681 BCE, claims to have been the first to cast monumental bronze statues of up to 30 tons using two-part molds instead of the lost wax method. Bronze statues were regarded as the highest form of sculpture in ancient Greek art, though survivals are few, as bronze was a valuable material in short supply in the late antique and medieval periods. Many of the most famous Greek bronze sculptures are known through Roman copies in marble, which were more likely to survive. In India, bronze sculptures from the Kushana, Chausa, Hurried, and Gupta periods, Brahma from Mirpur Khas, Akota Hurried, Sultanganj Buddha, and later periods, Hansi Hurried, have been found. Indian Hindu artisans from the period of the Chola Empire in Tamil Nadu used bronze to create intricate statues via the lost wax casting method, with ornate detailing depicting the deities of Hinduism. The art form survives to this day, with many silpis, craftsmen, working in the areas of Swamimalai and Chennai. In antiquity, other cultures also produced works of high art using bronze. For example, in Europe, Grecian bronzes typically have figures from Greek mythology. In East Asia, Chinese ritual bronzes of the Shang and Zhou dynasty, more often ceremonial vessels, but including some figurine examples. Bronze continues into modern times as one of the materials of choice for monumental statuary. The medieval and early modern castings of the Benin Empire, 13th to 19th century CE, that are often labeled bronzes, are technically cast from an often leaded brass alloy. Lamps, Tiffany Glass Studios, made famous by Louis C. Tiffany, commonly referred to his product as Favril glass or Tiffany glass, and used bronze in their artisan work for his Tiffany lamps. Fountains and doors. The largest and most ornate bronze fountain known to be cast in the world was by the Roman Bronze Works and General Bronze Corporation in 1952. The material used for the fountain, known as statuary bronze, is a quaternary alloy made of copper, zinc, tin, and lead, and traditionally golden brown in color. This was made for the Andrew W. Mellon Memorial Fountain in Federal Triangle in Washington, D.C. Another example of the massive ornate design projects of bronze and attributed to General Bronze, Roman Bronze Works were the massive bronze doors to the United States Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. Mirrors. Before it became possible to produce glass with acceptably flat surfaces, bronze was a standard material for mirrors. Bronze was used for this purpose in many parts of the world, probably based on independent discoveries. Bronze mirrors survive from the Egyptian Middle Kingdom, 2040 to 1750 BCE, and China from at least circa 550 BCE. In Europe, the Etruscans were making bronze mirrors in the 6th century BCE, and Greek and Roman mirrors followed the same pattern, although other materials such as speculum metal had come into use, and Western glass mirrors had largely taken over. Bronze mirrors were still being made in Japan and elsewhere in the 18th century, and are still made on a small scale in Kerala, India. Musical instruments. Bronze is the preferred metal for bells in the form of a high tin bronze alloy known as bell metal, which is typically about 23% tin. Nearly all professional cymbals are made from bronze, which gives a desirable balance of durability and timbre. Several types of bronze are used, commonly B20 bronze, which is roughly 20% tin, 80% copper, with traces of silver, or the tougher B8 bronze, made from 8% tin and 92% copper. As the tin content in a bell or cymbal rises, the timbre drops. Bronze is also used for the windings of steel and nylon strings of various stringed instruments, such as the double bass, piano, harpsichord, and guitar. Bronze strings are commonly reserved on pianoforte for the lower pitch tones, as they possess a superior sustain quality to that of high tensile steel. Bronzes of various metallurgical properties are widely used in struck idiophones around the world, notably bells, singing bowls, gongs, cymbals, and other idiophones from Asia. Examples include Tibetan singing bowls, temple bells of many sizes and shapes, Javanese gamelan, and other bronze musical instruments. The earliest bronze archaeological finds in Indonesia date from 1 to 2 BCE, including flat plates probably suspended and struck by a wooden or bone mallet. Ancient bronze drums from Thailand and Vietnam date back 2,000 years. Bronze bells from Thailand and Cambodia date back to 3,600 BCE. Some companies are now making saxophones from phosphor bronze, 3.5 to 10% tin, and up to 1% phosphorus content. Bell bronze B20 is used to make the tone rings of many professional model banjos. The tone ring is a heavy, usually 3 pounds, 1.4 kilograms, folded or arched metal ring attached to a thick wood rim, over which a skin, or most often, a plastic membrane or head, is stretched. It is the bell bronze that gives the banjo a crisp, powerful lower register and clear, bell-like treble register. Coins and metals. Bronze has also been used in coins. Most copper coins are actually bronze, with about 4% tin and 1% zinc. As with coins, bronze has been used in the manufacture of various types of metals for centuries, and bronze medals are known in contemporary times for being awarded for third place in sporting competitions and other events. The term is now often used for third place, even when no actual bronze medal is awarded. The usage in part arose from the trio of gold, silver, and bronze to represent the first 3 ages of man in Greek mythology. The Golden Age, when men lived among the gods. The Silver Age, where youth lasted 100 years, and the Bronze Age, the era of heroes. It was first adopted for a sports event at the 1904 Summer Olympics. At the 1896 event, silver was awarded to winners and bronze to runners-up, while at 1900 other prizes were given rather than medals. Bronze is the normal material for the related form of the plaquette, normally a rectangular work of art with a scene in relief for a collector's market. Bronze is also associated with 8th wedding anniversaries.